You can give your heart to someone, you can show up for them, stand by them, sacrifice for them, and still they might leave, they might change, they might hurt you, and if you spend your life trying to control what's out of your hands, you will drown in the tide of your own expectations. But here's the truth. Peace doesn't come from control. It comes from surrendering to the reality that the only thing you truly own is you. You can't force someone to stay. You can't make them care. You can't rewrite their thoughts, fix their wounds, or dictate their journey. The more you try, the more you suffer. See, the Stoics didn't numb themselves to emotion. They mastered it. They understood that real power begins the moment you stop reaching out for what's beyond your grasp and start reaching in. Control what you can. That means your attitude, your response, your focus. When they go silent, what do you do? When they pull away, who do you become? That's where your power lies. Not in chasing, not in convincing, but in standing still with discipline and clarity. This is where strength is forged. You have to look in the mirror and remind yourself, I do not control outcomes. I control my character. You can't predict the storm, but you can be the one who stands calm in the middle of it. That person who doesn't crumble, who doesn't beg, who doesn't lose themselves just because someone else lost sight of them. That's stoic, that's powerful. Emotional detachment isn't coldness, it's courage. Courage to accept that some chapters end before you're ready. Courage to love without possession. Courage to say, if they walk, I won't chase. If they lie, I won't argue. If they forget me, I will still remember who I am. Control is not about fixing the outside world. It's about commanding the internal one. And you do that by choosing how you show up. Daily. That means when your heart is breaking, you still wake up early. You train, you write, you work. You don't collapse into your pain, you build around it. You let it shape you, not shatter you. People will misunderstand you. They'll question your silence. They'll wonder why you won't plead for a place in their life. But detachment isn't about pride, it's about preservation. You're not walking away because you don't care. You're walking away because you do. About your peace, your growth, your soul, and that control. It's quiet. It doesn't scream. It doesn't post online. It doesn't try to prove a point. It simply walks in discipline even when the heart wants to collapse. It stays rooted in truth even when lies are easier. It speaks only when necessary and listens deeply. The pain to purpose, to the lessons hidden in loss. That's what the Stoics understood. That pain is inevitable, but suffering is a choice, and you don't have to choose it. You don't have to hand over your power to someone who already walked away. You don't have to burn for someone who won't even stand in your fire. So what do you control? You control your next move, your habits, your thoughts, your circle, your voice, and the more you master those, the less you will care about the things that were never yours to hold. Let go, not because you're weak, but because you're wise. You can either fight reality or rise with it. You decide. We spend most of our lives running from discomfort. We avoid heartbreak, we dodge failure, we shy away from loneliness, and we do everything in our power to numb the pain when it finds us. But here's the truth. Pain is not your enemy. Discomfort is not your curse. It's your teacher. It's the fire that forges strength, the resistance that builds resilience. And if you're going to emotionally detach from someone who once meant everything to you, you must walk through that fire. Head high, heart steady. See, when you care deeply about someone, detachment feels unnatural. Every instinct tells you to hold on tighter, to fix it, to go back to the way things were. But growth doesn't happen in comfort zones. You don't become stronger by avoiding what hurts. You become stronger by facing it, feeling it, and choosing not to be controlled by it. Discomfort is part of the process. You will feel the ache of absence. You will wake up and check your phone out of habit. You'll hear a song or smell a scent or visit a place that cracks something open in your chest, and your mind will tempt you to reach back out, to break your silence, to reopen the wound just for a moment of false comfort. But that's not healing, that's escaping. Real healing, that happens when you sit with the discomfort and say, I'm not running from this, I'm learning from it. That pain you feel right now, it's not weakness. It's not a sign that you're broken, it's a sign that something mattered. It's the cost of caring, and you should feel it. You should honor it, but don't let it keep you stuck. Don't let it trick you into thinking that suffering is your home. Because it's not. It's a passageway, one you must walk through with intention. Discomfort teaches you what you value. It shows you what you need to heal. It reveals your blind spots. When you feel the sting of rejection, you learn not to place your worth in someone else's hands. When you sit alone in silence, you hear your inner voice more clearly. When the relationship ends and the safety net is gone, you discover that you are the safety. You are the constant. You are the one who never left. It's in discomfort that you learn discipline, because detachment requires self-control. It means resisting the urge to reach out when your emotions scream for connection. It means choosing peace over chaos, truth over fantasy, silence over drama. That's not easy. It's not supposed to be. But every time you choose stillness over reaction, every time you face the ache without medicating it with distraction or attention, you're building strength. Quiet strength, unshakable strength. And when the tears dry and the days get lighter, when your heart doesn't sink every time you hear their name, that's when you'll realize the pain was a part of your evolution. It didn't destroy you, it defined you. It carved out space for something deeper, something more grounded. So don't fear the discomfort. Walk into it like it's training ground. Let it humble you. Let it teach you. Let it shape the next version of you. The one who doesn't chase what's fading, who doesn't beg to be chosen, who doesn't crumble when love leaves. That version of you, they are not born from ease. They are born from fire. And the fire is uncomfortable for a while, but strength, true strength, is worth every second of that burn. When someone we care about starts to drift away, or when a relationship ends altogether, our first instinct is to obsess over them. What went wrong? Why did they change? What are they thinking? Are they hurting like I am? We replay conversations. We analyze every silence. We scroll through old messages, looking for clues, looking for closure. But here's the hard truth. That focus is a trap. It's a loop with no exit. And as long as your mind stays locked on them, you'll keep bleeding energy into a place that can no longer nourish you. Healing starts the moment you shift the focus from them. To you, it sounds simple, but it's not easy. Your heart doesn't want to turn inward. It wants answers. It wants resolution. It wants the comfort of connection, even if that connection is just a memory. But you can't grow by watering dead plants. You can't move forward if you're always looking over your shoulder. So you have to make a choice, not when it feels good, but especially when it doesn't, to stop pouring your power into someone who is no longer part of your present. See, every time you ask, do they miss me? Ask instead, why do I feel the need to be missed? Every time you wonder, are they thinking of me? Ask, what parts of myself am I neglecting while thinking of them? That's how you take your power back. That's how you begin to rebuild. Because the truth is, the longer you chase someone else's ghost, the more disconnected you become from your own soul. Shifting the focus to yourself isn't selfish. It's survival. It's the start of something sacred. It's saying, I matter enough to be my own priority. When they stopped showing up for you, you start showing up for yourself. When they forgot what made you special, you begin the work of remembering it. You make peace with solitude. You confront your insecurities. You build a routine that grounds you. You create goals that have nothing to do with impressing or proving your worth to them, and everything to do with honoring your worth for you. You start small. Maybe it's waking up earlier and moving your body. Maybe it's learning a new skill, reconnecting with old friends, or investing in your craft. You rebuild your identity not around what you lost, but around what you're creating. You stop waiting for a message and start writing your own story. And yes, there will be days when your mind drifts back. That's okay. Healing isn't linear, but the difference now is that you notice it. You catch yourself mid-thought and gently steer the wheel back home, because this road, it's not about them anymore. It's yours. As the days pass and your energy returns, you'll begin to realize something powerful. You weren't chasing them. You were chasing a feeling. Love, validation, safety, all of which you have the power to cultivate within yourself. And once you find it there, you stop needing it from people who couldn't give it to you in the first place. So take that focus, the attention you once gave so freely to someone else, and pour it back into your own life, your growth, your healing, your evolution. Let you be the project, let you be the priority. Not because they're no longer around, but because you've finally remembered who was here all along. The moment you stop asking about them is the moment you begin to discover you. And trust this, who you become in the process of healing will be far more powerful than anything you lost. Most people spend their lives trying to avoid pain. They distract themselves, deny reality, cling to comfort, and hope that if they don't think about loss, it won't happen. But the Stoics, those ancient warriors of the mind, understood something deeper. They didn't run from loss. They stared it in the face. They practiced a habit called negative visualization, not to live in fear, but to prepare their spirit, to detach not with bitterness, but with clarity, to live fully by remembering that nothing is promised. Negative visualization is the act of imagining the very things we dread: loss, endings, distance, death, not to bring ourselves down, but to strengthen our grip on what we can control, our response, our readiness, our values. When you sit with the thought that someone you love could leave, that life could shift in an instant, you learn not to take anything for granted. You begin to hold more lightly, love more presently, and detach more wisely. Now, this isn't about becoming emotionless. It's about becoming emotionally prepared. It's about understanding that pain is a part of life, and if you don't train your mind to meet it with resilience, it will shatter you when it arrives. If you fear the fall so much that you never climb, you live half a life. But if you accept the fall as part of the journey, you move with strength and grace, even when things go wrong. Let's talk about relationships. When you build your whole world around one person, their absence feels like death. But if you learn to visualize that absence, not obsess over it, not dramatize it, but simply acknowledge it, you build a kind of emotional armor. You say to yourself, one day this may end, they may walk away, they may change, they may choose a different path. And you don't say it to punish yourself, you say it to prepare, so that if it happens, it won't be a landslide. It'll be a season, it'll hurt, yes, but it won't destroy you. This practice allows you to love with eyes wide open, to give freely but without clinging, to stay grounded in your own worth rather than attaching it to someone else's presence. Because when you realize everything in life is temporary, every relationship, every feeling, every moment, you learn to appreciate it while it's here and release it when it's gone. And here's the beauty: the more you face your fears, the less power they have over you. You fear losing someone, visualize it. Picture the silence, the absence, the space they once filled. Feel the sadness, then breathe through it. Remind yourself that even in that imagined loss, you are still standing. You are still breathing, still alive, still you. That is your power. Most people live in denial, pretending bad things won't happen, but the Stoic builds strength by acknowledging that they will. and choosing to live fully anyway. Not in paranoia, not in dread, but in peace. Because when you accept that everything can be taken from you, you stop wasting time on what doesn't matter. You stop holding grudges. You stop chasing people who don't see your value. You start investing in what's real, what's meaningful, what's lasting. So practice the uncomfortable, visualize the loss, not to dwell, but to detach, to recognize that everything borrowed must one day be returned. And when that day comes, you won't break. You'll bow your head, accept what is, and move forward, not empty but evolved, because the person who has trained their mind for loss is the one most ready to live. In a world that's constantly shouting, online, in conversations, in our own minds, silence is a rare and powerful weapon. Not everyone understands it. They confuse silence with weakness, with indifference, with retreat. But silence, when chosen with intention, is one of the most disciplined forms of strength. It is the space where emotion is tempered, clarity is born, and true detachment begins to take root. When someone hurts you, walks away, disrespects you, or simply stops showing up in the way they once did, your first reaction might be to speak, to explain, to fight for your side, to demand closure or ask questions they've already answered with their behavior. But silence, that's where the Stoic finds power, not because they have nothing to say, but because they've realized not everything deserves a response. Silence is control. It's choosing not to react impulsively. It's standing firm when your emotions beg you to lash out or reach back. It's resisting the urge to send that text, to check that page, to make that call just to feel something. Silence doesn't mean you're not feeling. It means you're feeling and restraining. That's real power. That's emotional maturity. It's saying, I refuse to let my pain dictate my dignity. There is strength in not responding to every insult, every slight, every unanswered message. There is power in letting people feel your absence rather than forcing them to acknowledge your presence. In silence, you shift the dynamic. You no longer play the game of reaction. You move with intention, not emotion. That confuses people because they're used to chaos. They expect the noise, but you give them quiet, and in that quiet you grow. Silence also makes space for truth. In the absence of constant chatter, you begin to hear yourself more clearly. You start to understand what you're actually feeling beyond the noise of pride or anger. You recognize what you need, not just what you want. You learn that some of your battles were just distractions, and that trying to force someone to see your worth is the surest way to forget it yourself. When you stop trying to prove something, when you stop explaining and just be, the right people recognize it, and the wrong people, well, they fade out like they were always meant to. Your silence becomes a filter. It protects your energy, your peace, your focus. Because not everyone deserves access to your thoughts, your time, your emotions, especially not the ones who couldn't value it when they had it. And this isn't about ghosting or avoidance. This is about choosing your words, your presence, your attention with care. You speak when it serves growth. You engage when it honors your peace. You walk away when the noise only drowns your clarity. That's not passive. That's powerful. That's knowing who you are. Silence teaches patience. In silence you wait, not for someone else, but for your mind to catch up with your values, for your heart to find its rhythm again. And when it does, you return to the world not bitter, not broken, but rebuilt. Not louder, but more precise. Let them wonder why you didn't respond. Let them question why you walked away without a scene. Let them sit in the echo of your absence, because silence, when it's chosen, speaks louder than any words could. It says, I am not here to convince you. I am not here to beg. I am not here to entertain chaos. I am here for peace, and if you're not bringing it, I'll find it in the quiet. And in that quiet, you'll discover that the strongest voice is the one that doesn't need to be heard to be felt. There comes a moment in everyone's life when emotions run high, when heartbreak, betrayal, disappointment, or loneliness threatens to take over the wheel. In those moments, it's easy to say things you don't mean, to act out of desperation, to compromise your standards just to feel something, anything, other than pain. But that's exactly where the Stoic draws the line. Because if you live your life based on how you feel in the moment, you'll be controlled by the chaos of every storm. Real power comes from living by principles, not emotions. Emotions are real, but they're not always true. They're fleeting, they rise and fall, they come uninvited and leave without warning. If you chase them or let them guide your decisions, you'll move like a leaf in the wind, drifting wherever circumstance pushes you. But if you ground yourself in values, self-respect, discipline, honesty, patience, you create a foundation that won't shake every time life does. When someone disrespects you, your emotions may demand revenge. But your principles say walk away with dignity. When you feel lonely, your emotions may beg you to go back to something unhealthy. But your principles remind you that peace is better than chaos. Living by principles means you don't just act based on what you feel, you act based on what you believe. That's how you stay in control. The Stoic doesn't ignore emotions. They just don't let emotions run the show. They feel everything fully and still choose wisely. That's the mark of emotional strength. That's where detachment begins, not in being numb but in being disciplined. Because when your principles are stronger than your impulses, you don't just survive loss, you grow through it.